Hello, everyone. I'm hoping that I am live. I've got everything pulled up, and I've got your comment section over here so I can see what you say and all that stuff. So welcome. I'm very happy to have you here. And also, when I decided to schedule this thing, I totally forgot about the Oscars. So that's the thing. I wasn't even thinking about it. So I'm hoping that some people show up. Yay, we have some people. Awesome. Hey, Patty. Because it is Oscars night, and I just didn't even think about that. So yeah, that's the thing. But okay. Quick beginning. Let's get stuff started off. So tonight, what we're going to talk about, I have my notes here. We are going to talk about our experience with the challenge and all that stuff. And then we are also going to talk about what happens next after this point. So if you've gone through the whole challenge and everything, and hopefully you've seen some changes or started to develop some new habits, or maybe things didn't go great. Where do we go from here? What's the next step, and how do we kind of adjust and move forward? So we're going to talk about that. And I do have to do a quick disclaimer here at the beginning. This whole video is for general information purposes only. It's not meant to treat, cure, or prevent any sort of disease or condition, and it shouldn't be used as a substitute for medical advice from a health professional. So now that we have that out of the way, I see a few more people are coming in. Like I said, it's Oscars night, so we'll see how many people we get in here. But feel free to talk in the chat. We already have Patty here, and she says that she signed in on her husband's, but she has her Instagram there. So if you want to go check her out, Patty has been posting a lot with the hashtag for the challenge, and she has some awesome pictures of all the different stuff that she's been doing, which is really cool. So if you want to get a little look at how her challenge has been going, definitely go on Instagram and use the hashtag Real Food Goals, and then you'll be able to see that over there and all the cool stuff that she's been doing. Okay, so I think that's all of the kind of housekeeping stuff out of the way, and now it's time to start chatting. So I thought the first thing we could talk about is our experience with the challenge, and I'd love to hear how the challenge went for you, how you feel about it, and all of that good stuff. So if you want to start typing that in the chat right now, just because there is the delay, and I'll go ahead and start sharing about my experience and what I thought about the challenge. So as you may or may not know, for the challenge, I decided to work on trying some new recipes. And it's something I wanted to do because, I'm kind of getting my routine, which can be a good thing sometimes. When you have that routine, it's a little easier to just kind of stick to what you're doing, make sure stuff happens. But for me, I felt like, I need to try some new stuff. I have all these cookbooks. I'm sure there's some good recipes in there that I just haven't ventured out and tried. And they could become new favorites. And also just to maybe get inspiration. Maybe I try a recipe and that could give me so many other ideas for other things that I could do. So I didn't get to try as many recipes as I wanted, but I did try a few, and I have to say I was really happy with the experience. It did get me just what I was hoping. I got to try some new recipes that I think are going to become new favorites, and then also just got me kind of thinking about things a different way and trying different things. And there are also a few recipes that I didn't get to try during the challenge that I'm looking forward to trying later on. Like there was a recipe that I wanted to try, but I couldn't get the right kind of meat that I wanted. So that's kind of been on hold, but once the store gets the meat in, I think I'm going to try that one out. So yeah, I got to try a couple really great soups as well as this like fish curry thing. So those were some of the real standouts. And overall, it was really good. And I think going forward, I will definitely try to incorporate this some more. I mean, I do like the habit and the routine part because it does make things easier and helps you just get stuff done. But this showed me that, it's a good thing to venture out. You've got these cookbooks, you've got these recipes at your fingertips. You just need to go in there every once in a while and look and try something new and see if you like it. So that's my experience. Now we can start talking about you guys and what your experience was like. So let's see what you guys have to say in the comments. Okay, CM Coleman Home says, I thought it was great. I actually ended up eating more natural foods without even thinking about it. It was a lot of fun. So that's really good. So it sounds like it's starting to become something that's more of a habit then if you're not even having to think about it, and having changes that, are kind of flowing into the rest of your life and meshing there. So that's really cool. And I'd love to hear more about that as far as anything specific, like new things you tried or what you were doing before and what's different about what you're doing now. That would be really cool to hear more about. Jason says that he was better about getting sleep, didn't get as much as he wanted, but definitely better. And I can vouch for that. I think for Jason, I am part of the problem. It seems like we can never get on the same wavelength. Like if I'm ready for bed, like at the time that we've agreed upon or even early, then he's not. Or if he is, then I'm like, oh, I'm working on this thing, sorry. And not that we have to go to bed at the same time, but we kind of like to. It's nice to if we can. So I think that's something we both need to continue to work on and improve there on the sleep thing, because sleep is super important. And Patty says, okay, you don't know how much this has helped me. That's awesome. I wasn't deprived, but I was more open to try more healthy foods. Also being open about it has given me so much support. That is really great to hear. I'm so glad that you've enjoyed the challenge. And that is something that Patty posted about on Instagram, how putting it out there and making a public statement about it really helped her, because then not only did she have, her own conviction of what she wanted to do, but she had her friends and family watching her do it and supporting her and just being aware. And that's really important to have other people know about it. And it can be a little scary sometimes, but if people know what you're doing, then that helps them help you and make sure that they're not unintentionally doing things that could derail you on your goals or what you're trying to accomplish or the changes that you are trying to make. So that's really good to hear that that's helped you in that way, for sure. Okay, and if anyone else has anything else you want to share, definitely put it in the comments and we can talk about how the challenge went for you. And also if anything that didn't go so well, that's fair game too. So keep putting those in there. But another thing that we can talk about tonight, which I thought would be a good thing, is where do we go from here? Because, you've gone through this challenge, but what happens tomorrow? And that's one reason I made this challenge, because a lot of challenges tend to be very like, you're going to do this for a certain period of time, and then it kind of falls apart. And it's like, okay, what happens next? And I really want you to have something that's not this like big 180-degree turnaround, something you can't sustain long term. I want you to be able to make changes that actually last and stick with you. And that's why the challenge was structured the way it was, as far as making small, measurable goals that are personal to you, so that everyone can try to do something that is really going to help them get to the next step. And Coleman is saying that eating naturally instead of worrying about portions made it a much better challenge. And that's a good thing to, note that so much like we have all this kind of like portion control or weight loss or kind of mentality in our culture. But, if you can look at food quality first, it's something that is a lot easier, and it doesn't get you, with those kinds of other ways of thinking, sometimes it can get you in a bad place as far as, what you're really trying to accomplish, and you can go down a bad road with that kind of thing. So that's good to hear. Patty says, it's been hard when I can't cook. So many unhealthy choices out there. Okay, that's a good thing to talk about. And that's part of what happens next too. What do you do from there? So as far as eating out, it is tricky. And I will say that we don't eat out a ton just for that reason, and because it's kind of expensive. So I think there are a few things you can do there. One is, planning ahead, which is great. If you can foresee that something is going to happen, you're going to be busy, or there's something going on, that you kind of have that plan in place already to help you be prepared. That's the first thing you can do. A second thing you can do is try to create your own convenience foods or backup plans for those times when you don't know that that's going to happen. Sometimes things just come up and then time gets away from you, or, there's something going on and you don't have time to cook. So if you can make things that you can have later, that can really help. So for example, if you're going to make like a big pot of soup, just double it, because it doesn't take that much extra work. It doesn't take twice as long to double the amount. It probably takes like 1.5 times as long, because you already had everything out and you're already in the process of doing it. And then you can freeze that and have it in your freezer for that day when something crazy happens and you didn't know it was going to happen, and now you don't know what you're going to eat. If you can kind of make your own convenience foods by freezing leftovers or cooking things specifically for that purpose, that can be a big help. Now, as far as actually eating out, because it does happen and I eat out, there are some better choices that you can make. So one of my favorite places, if you're looking for something fast, is Chipotle. Just because you get to build it however you want. And Chipotle gets a bad rap for having like being super high in calories or really indulgent, but it really doesn't have to be if you're doing things in the right way. I'm gonna get a drink of water real quick. Okay, so Chipotle really can be a good option. And this is something I'm actually thinking about doing a video about. Let me know if you'd like to see that, kind of like what I order at Chipotle. But you know, there's kind of like a version of Chipotle that can be crazy. So I've seen people go on the line and they get white rice. Hey Tam, so glad you can make it. They get white rice, no beans, 3 different kinds of meat, no salsa, because even that has tomatoes in it, and that could be a vegetable, cheese and sour cream, no lettuce, that's it. And obviously that like has no vegetables in it. It's super rich and heavy, and it's probably not gonna make you feel that great. But at the same time, Chipotle has a lot of good things in there. You know, you can get the brown rice, they have a couple bean options. You can get a meat if you want to. You know, they have the fajita veggies there, which is something like they don't ask you about specifically, but if you ask them for it, they will give it to you. You got all those salsas, lettuce, and then if you want to do guac, you can do that, and that's delicious. It's going to make it a little more, a little heavier, I guess. Like usually if I get guac, then I usually can't finish the whole thing. And then you can get lettuce. And if you want, you can ask for extra lettuce to help up the veggie content. Hey, Jana, so happy to see you here. So yeah, so that's an example at Chipotle. Another thing I really like to is go to like Indian restaurants are good if you like Indian food, because they have a lot of dishes that are vegetarian or have a lot of vegetables in them. So that can be a good option for finding things. And then also I really like sushi and stuff like that, or like Asian type restaurants, just because a lot of times you do have a lot of veggie options there, or vegetarian, or things that have maybe some different veggies that you can't get at just like your kind of standard American chain restaurant, something like that. So that can be a good thing too. And I think the thing with eating out is, you know, try to not do it all the time if you can. And when you do, try to get better options, but you know, sometimes it's not going to be the same as if you made it at home. So kind of finding that balance of enjoying it and accepting it, but also trying to do something the best with what you have to work with. The big thing too is just loading up on the veggies. No matter where you go, there's usually some sort of vegetable, hopefully, whether that's a salad bar or just veggie sides or something like that. So that can help you when you're eating out at a restaurant, to kind of balance everything out. Even if it's not exactly what you would make, if you can load up on the veggies, then you know you're at least getting that, and that can help fill you up as well and help you feel satisfied if the choices there aren't the best. Okay, so and let me know if you have need any other tips about that as far as eating out. But that's just what came off the top of my head. So Coleman says, I found make the extra, making extras great and freezing leftovers in individual containers, so much better. That's a good tip too. Yeah, if you kind of pre-portion it out ahead of time into the amount that you would normally eat, whether it's just for you or you know, a group of people. Oh, Tam said I was frozen, but I'm unfrozen, so that's good. Whether it's just for a group of people or for yourself, you know, whoever you're feeding with those meals, if you portion it out in that amount, then that can help you make it even easier when it's time to eat it. For those of you who just came in, we're talking a little bit about our experience with the challenge, as well as any struggles we've had and what happens next after the challenge is over. So anything you have to share about, you know, what you did with the challenge or any thoughts or anything like that, we'd love to hear it. So definitely put that in the chat, and we can go through those. As far as the next step, I think there are a few different places you might be once the challenge is over. So the first place is the challenge went great. The things that you worked on, you feel like are really solid habits that are like stuck in your routine. It's not even like work anymore, and you're ready to go on to the next thing. So if you're in that space, you can do a couple things. You can take a little break and just kind of hang out there and just live in that place for a little bit. And then later on, add something else in, try something else that you want to change and work on it. And that creates that snowball effect that really creates a lifestyle change. When you're stacking one habit on top of another, on top of another, on top of another, instead of doing everything at once, then you can really get these things ingrained in your lifestyle that just become a part of how you do everything. And then as you add them on, before you know it, things are totally different from where you started. And it doesn't feel like a lot of work because you just kind of eased into it step by step. You can also go right into something else. If you feel good and you're like, no, I'm ready to do it, just make sure you're in the right spot, because there's this temptation to bite off more than we can chew sometimes. But if you feel like you're ready to do something like that, then I say go for it. Another place that you might find yourself is like the challenge went pretty good, but you don't feel totally solid in what you're doing. If that's where you are, then I would say keep working on what you're doing. Just keep working at it, trying new things, and it might take a little longer for that thing to become a habit, but if you keep working at it, then it can totally happen. And then the third place you might find yourself is like the challenge wasn't great for you. Like you feel like you didn't really get anything as far as a solid change happening. You're kind of start and stop, or things didn't go exactly how you would have wanted. And if you're in that place, know that that's totally okay. Maybe it was a bad time for you, bad timing as far as like things came up that you weren't expecting, a certain season in your life, or just things going on. That could be it. Or maybe your goal wasn't, you realize maybe it wasn't the best goal for you right now. So, and there could be a lot of other reasons too, but the thing is, that's totally fine. Just really take stock of yourself and figure out what's going to be the next step as far as, do you want to keep working at it, or maybe you need to take a break off and then come back to it? But definitely don't beat yourself up about anything like that, because the whole point of this is that we're all trying to get better from where we are right now. And that's a whole different journey for each of us. And, it's not going to be a straight line. There's going to be bumps along the road. Things always happen, but, it's this analogy. If you got a flat tire and you pulled over on the side of the road, you wouldn't slash all the other tires, and say, oh, well, it's done. You would just change the flat and keep going, because things like that are always going to happen, but it's how you respond to it that makes the difference. So just remember that. And Patty says, another thing that has made me happy is that I don't feel as hungry as before, and I'm not eating so many heavy foods. That helps prevent stomach aches. That's awesome that you're feeling better as far as your tummy, and that you're not as hungry. And that's something that can definitely happen. Not only does our taste perception change, but also as we start to do more of this real food thing, and also being more aware just of how our body feels, we start to realize that we, recognize our hunger and fullness, and our body kind of adjusts to that. So that's really good. If you have anything else about the challenge, put it in the comments or in the chat. I'm going to get some more water because I'm thirsty. Okay. And another thing, thinking about the next step and going forward, I think is kind of figuring out, okay, you want to do something, but what is that thing? And so it might be a logical step for you, like, oh, it's so obvious, this is the next thing I need to do, but it might not be. So if that's the case, I would say go back through the challenge packet that you got when you first started, the whole guide, and go through those steps again, because now that you've gone through it once and you can come back around, still going through those same steps, it's going to help you identify what you want to work on, whether it's a food group or a meal or something else that you have in mind. You can really use that same process again to get through onto whatever you want to do next and figure out what that is. So that's something to think about too. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. If you guys, we don't have to stay on for a certain amount of time or anything, and I know the Oscars are on, so there's not as many people here. So let me know in the chat if you have anything else you want to talk about, any questions just in general. We can totally go into those, and then once we've gotten through everything that everyone wants to talk about, then we can wrap it up. I don't want to miss anything that anyone has to say, but I also don't want to keep you guys here if you guys are feeling good. I have to say, I think the challenge was awesome. It was a big success in my eyes because I've really seen so many of you that have come in and just, even from the first day, I was hearing from people about how after even 1 or 2 days of doing this and changing the way they were eating, they were feeling better. And then also to see on Instagram your pictures and just all the progress that everyone has made, and the victories that you've had and the challenges that you've overcome and all of that has been really exciting for me, really inspiring for me to see everything that you've been doing. And I just think it's really cool to have this community of people who can come together and talk about this stuff and help each other out and support each other and share what we're doing, and to grow together, even though we're each on our own individual paths, to be able to come together and, use that momentum of a group and being together and doing this together to help us all progress and try new things, which I think is awesome. Coleman says, I'm big on knowing more recipes for making veggies taste better, like taste like bacon. Well, you can put bacon on them. That's always an idea. For me, I do have a guide about how to eat more veggies and actually like it. So that's the thing there. The link might be in the description of this, actually. I think it is, maybe. Check that out. And that is a good one, just because it kind of goes through some basic tips. But I think the number one thing for veggies is roasting them. That is like the best way to cook almost any vegetables besides like romaine lettuce or something like that. But I mean, all seasons, all different types, from root vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, carrots, potatoes. What else? I mean, I roast so many things. Tomatoes are great, peppers, onions. There's just so much you can do with roasting, and it makes everything taste really good because all the sugars get caramelized and like all concentrated and delicious. And that's like my go-to way to cook any vegetable. If I'm not sure what I want to do with it, just roast it. It's always good. It's like the best version of whatever the vegetable was. And I will say, Jason's in here being my tech support. I won't speak for him. I'll let him, come in and say if I'm wrong. But I think that there are vegetables that Jason previously thought that he did not like, but when you roast them, they're at least improved. Would you say? A lot? Yeah. Like, do you have an example?
Broccoli for one.
Broccoli. Okay. Yeah.
Zucchini probably.
Zucchini. He's not a big zucchini fan, which is so sad for me because it's one of my favorites. Yeah, those are probably the big ones though. So roasting improves everything. Yeah, the roasted sweet potatoes, so good. So yeah, that's my number one thing for veggies is roasting. It makes everything good. Put some balsamic vinegar on there, so good. You have to do it. And Patty asked, will the hashtag work after? Yes, the hashtag is still a thing. You can always post under it. It won't go away or anything. So if you're doing more stuff and you want to share it, or you just, have things that you're posting that you feel like is in the same kind of vibe as the challenge, definitely keep posting those and use the hashtag, because I'd love to see what you're doing and, any further progress you're making, or just, what you're eating, all that kind of stuff, and check it out and answer any questions you have, or just comment on all the delicious stuff that y'all are making. So definitely continue to use the hashtag because it will still work. And yes, roasted broccoli is bomb. It's so good. It's so good. And even the leaves and everything, they get kind of like crispy, kind of like kale chips, but like just the broccoli leaves. So you can do that too. And yeah, I mean, pretty much everything can be roasted except like lettuce and things like that. Green beans, roasted green beans are good. See, even Jason likes it. It's crispy and salty and oh, so good. It's so good. And not steamed, which is also a plus. And yeah, as far as recipes, Coleman asked, will there be more recipes on my channel? I will have a little honesty moment here. The recipe videos are not my favorite kind of videos to make because they, it's a lot as far as filming the cooking and then the talking and putting it all together. But I do them because I do know that y'all love the recipes, and I know for me, I'm always looking for new recipes, so I'm sure that you are as well. So there will always be more recipes coming. And if you ever have like a request for something that you want either to see my take on or a version of, or a healthier version, or if you're just like, hey, I'm looking for something like this, or I'm not really sure how to cook that, definitely let me know in the comments of any one of my videos on Instagram. You can email me, whatever, and let me know, because having your requests is always helpful to make sure that I'm giving you the kind of videos that you want to see. And Patty, I'm so glad that the hashtag helps keep you focused and on track with what you're trying to do. That's really awesome to hear. Ooh, cabbage. Yes, roasted cat. Are you talking about roasted cabbage? Because I've done roasted cabbage. That's also good with some like, I did a honey mustard roasted cabbage one time. That was really good. Just some honey, mustard mixed together, all on there. Yeah, that's delicious. Yeah, definitely share it, Jana. And if you have it handy, you can always put it in the chat and people can go check it out. Kale chips. Yes, they're so good. And I will say I don't make kale chips a ton because I usually eat kale in salads because it's easier. That's the recipe that's on my channel. It's like how to make kale taste delicious. That's like my go-to way to cook kale. And that's really good. But kale chips are also a good option. And Chris wants a roasted, or Coleman wants a roasted broccoli recipe. Okay, I'll have to get on that. See, sometimes I don't know if this, which things like are helpful, or something like, is this too, like, do people already know this? So that helps me to know that that's something that you'd want to see. Roasted broccoli is super good. Okay, so I think that's what everyone has to say. If you have anything else, let me know, but I guess we can start to kind of wrap it up here. I've really appreciated you guys and all your feedback throughout the challenge. Let me know what's going on, and just sharing everything. I think that's awesome, and I love just hearing from you, seeing what you're doing, and I'm really, really happy for all of you who have seen so much success with this and have gotten so much out of it, and it's really awesome, and I'm glad that I can be here to like help you and answer your questions and help you make the change that you want to make in your life. That really makes me excited, and it is super fun. So if there's no other questions, I guess we will wrap this up for tonight. And yeah, it's been awesome talking to you guys. Hope you have a great rest of your Sunday evening. For me here, it's kind of late, so I think we're gonna watch a little bit of the Oscars and get ready for bed, because I'm not trying to stay up all night for Oscars. I mean, they're fun, but as we've discussed previously, I need my sleep. So it's great talking to you guys. Great to see you here, Tam. No problem, you're welcome. And I will talk to you guys very soon. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you do it. Fun video coming out this week with me and Jason talking about what it's like to be married to a dietitian. And I think you're really gonna like it. So if you wanna see that, make sure you subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later all over the internet, and I hope you're having a great night. Bye-bye.